But Bill Polian joins us now here on the Michael Kay Show. Bill, it's Don LaGreca and Ryan Rucco. How is your Monday going, all right?
It's going fine, thank you. And I met my own Ice Bucket Challenge this morning along with Jeff Saturday.
Did you?
So, yes.
Now, who did you challenge, Bill, after you did yours?
I challenged my grandson, Jack, and Mickey Loomis of the New Orleans Saints and David Caldwell of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, good. So hopefully they live up to it. And also donate the money as well. Dump the ice water on you and still donate the money, okay?
Still, you got to do both.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad we're on the same page with that.
Can I tell you a story real quick, Don,
sure.
about Bill? So I've known Bill a while, and last year I had the opportunity to broadcast games with him, right? And we did some games together, ESPN on ESPN Radio. And, Bill, you remember that parking lot jam in Kansas City that you helped navigate me through with your New York way of driving? Well, I'm at MetLife Stadium for the Eminem Rihanna concert the other night. And it was basically the same scenario where there's just nobody's getting out of the lot. And I tell my sister, I go, if Bill Polian was in that chair right now, he'd be telling me to cut that car off, cut that car off. So, Bill, I was channeling your inner New Yorker, and I navigated through the parking lot simply thinking about what kind of advice you would have given if you were there.
There you go. There you go. You never know when those skills come in handy.
That's right.
I did the pre and post for the Jets game on Saturday. 20-some-odd penalties. The Giants had 20 penalties. There were 86 penalties, Bill, in the 4 preseason games on Friday. Is this something you think is going to carry over into the regular season?
No, for a couple of reasons. Number one, officials were told to call everything in the preseason, so 2 things could happen. A, the clubs could understand what was being emphasized and what was not, and B, the fact that you've got so many players playing, particularly in the second halves of games, and in these 2 games, sometimes even in the last 3 quarters, who won't be with teams in the fall. So it'll come down. If you look at the statistics, no calls, which are calls that should have been made to warrant in the 3 areas of emphasis, defensive holding, DPI, and illegal contact, amounted to about 100. All of those will not be called correctly during the regular season, but let's assume that they were. That would only add a half a penalty per game. So this is no reason to get upset. It's not going to happen in the regular season, but the points of emphasis aren't going to change either. So the DBs are going to have to play with their feet, not their hands, and it's going to clean up the game downfield, which is badly needed cleaning up.
So that's what's interesting to me, Bill, and I know a lot of people will think of, think back to your Colts-Patriots AFC Championship game way back when, and the way the rules were reemphasized after that, and the mugging that some of your receivers took in the secondary that game. Do you feel like the Seahawks and what they maybe were getting away with in the postseason, specifically against Denver, I mean, is that going to keep the league from wanting copycats and making sure that it doesn't become too defensive a league?
No, actually, the Seahawks played pretty cleanly, I thought, in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
The Pats-Colts game was what it was. In both cases, that was the tip of the iceberg. The competition committee looks at everything all across the league, and in both cases, 10 years apart, ironically, by the time mid-season had come, the competition committee at its mid-season meeting, I was a member for 19 years, as Ryan knows, said this is out of control. We got to get a handle on this. Play is becoming far too restrictive down the field, and that was the case last year as well. And by the way, I wasn't involved last year, so those that blamed me for the change 10 years ago, I can assure you, I had neither the clout nor the expertise to bring about a change individually. But the competition committee saw that it was becoming epidemic, that the rules were not being enforced by the officials, and so you had a new director of officiating, Dean Blandino, whose charge from the competition committee was, let's make sure that we clean it up down the field, and let's make sure we clean up hands to the face of offensive and defensive linemen, because that's dangerous. And if we do, it'll make for a better game.
Talking to Bill Polian, former general manager in this league, now working for us here at ESPN. A lot of problems with the Giants' offense. Tom Coughlin's not happy with it. And they just haven't thrown a lot, Bill. 15 throws for Eli Manning over 3 games. How concerned should Tom Coughlin be about the way this offense has played in the first 3 preseason games?
Well, knowing Tom, because he's a perfectionist, he's never happy unless they're going at 100 miles an hour. And but he's also a realist. When you install a new offense, particularly one that changes, in essence, the nature of the running game, it's difficult to mesh it. It's difficult for a quarterback and receivers to get on the same page. You have less opportunity to work on it in the off season than you used to. So it's going to take time. It's a work in progress. I would look for. First of all, I wouldn't make any judgments until mid-season, and then I'd look for the arrow to turn up somewhere beyond the 6th game or so. Up until that time, it's going to be a work in progress.
Bill, I think if there was one concern with the Giants, right, it's the offense, more specifically the offensive line. The concern with the Jets here is the secondary and, what they didn't do in the offseason, the injuries they've endured, and how poor they looked this past Saturday night. You're looking, Rex Ryan, and you're looking at that secondary. Do you think that defense, that front 7, which I know you're very high on, can make what seems like a weak secondary not matter as much as it seems like it does right now? Well,
Rex is going to have to make some adjustments in the way the secondary plays, in the schemes, and he's capable of doing that. In an ideal world, his 2 corners could cover man-to-man, and the other 9 guys find ways to rush the passer and terrorize the offensive line. In this case, he's not going to be able to do that because he does not have 2 lock-up man-to-man corners. So he's going to have to make some adjustments. But if you're a Jet fan, you wouldn't rather have anybody but Rex doing that, because he does have the capacity to think outside the box and come up with schemes that will cover up whatever deficiencies the backup corners may have. It's unfortunate that they've had the injuries, but I wouldn't rather have anybody but Rex tinkering with it when it needs to be tinkered with.
And I think it's so unfair, Bill, when we're talking to Bill Polian here on the Michael Kay Show. Rex needs a good corner to be a good defense. I mean, everybody would love to have good corners, but I would think he's a good enough defensive mind to be able to work around not having the greatest of corners, right?
Yeah, yes. It's going to change the scheme somewhat, but he's capable of making that adjustment. Not a lot of other coaches would be, but he certainly is.
Bill, tonight, obviously Monday Night Football, it actually feels like somewhat of a big game because of Johnny Manziel and him being the center of attention this preseason. How would you handle that? If you are in that Cleveland Browns front office or you're on that coaching staff, which way are you leaning towards your quarterback situation?
Well, they're going to ask me this in about 10 minutes on NFL Live, so I'm going to have to excuse myself after this answer. But I would have done it differently. I would have said, A, I'll make a decision when I'm good and ready to make a decision, not before. B, if I need to take all 4 preseason games, this is a competition, we've said that. If I need to take all 4 preseason games to get enough reps to make an objective and truthful and effective decision, that's what we'll do. And when we make a decision, we'll let you know. I would not have set any artificial timetables, and I would have tried to use as many reps as I possibly could to make it work.